please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
There goes the bell, and actually the markets are starting about over a 0.25% higher, so 0.28 higher, that's 10,487, and on the Sensex 34,200 has been crossed, so 108 up, 113 up now on the Sensex. It's holding an early morning gain of 0.33%, so it's not a gung-ho opening, but it's a green opening, and it's a green opening across. Mid-caps as well opening over a 0.25% higher, and Bank Nifty as well opening 0.33% higher. Fortis, that's what we want to check first before we get to the Nifty stocks. Fortis Healthcare starting now 2.25%, 2% higher. As Mr. Tulsan pointed out, the board will be an issue with how powerful is the board with what is left of it. But to come back to the stocks, aluminum stocks are starting higher. Vedanta, Hindalco are leading the pack with 1.3% in terms of gains. Titan is the next 1%. Dr. Reddy's 1%. IOC 1%, half a percent. And then come the techies. Wipro is up about almost 1%. TCS as well, 0.8. Kotak Mahindra Bank, Adani Ports, HPCL, Bajaj Finance, Infosys. All those are a little over 0.5% higher. Axis Bank is 0.5%. So, well, just about a little better than the index itself. Not too much actually in the red list. Sun Pharma, Tata Motors, IndusInd Bank, HDFC, HUL, Asian Paints. That's all of 0.2, 0.3% down. So actually, broadly, the Nifty is up. 43 out of 50 up.
Okay. On the mid-cap side, it started off positive, about 60 odd points on the higher side. I'll quickly run through some of the news-making stocks. So these block deals have people really excited. Both are consumption themes. Whether you're talking quality or you're talking agrotech, of course, quality is far more volatile. Agrotech is up about 4%. This one has seen some interest from Purinju Belliott's fund. Moving on, Nalco is on my radar because the buying simply continues on this stock, 2.5% up as we are starting off. Those are some of the other metal plays. Metal is still looking good this morning. Fortis, of course, 1.5% on the higher side. Some of the other stocks in news like Hudco, they're raising a lot of money, 0.5% up. BEML is about 1% on the upside. Harrison's Malayalam is still running strong, 9% up thanks to the favorable court ruling. And it's not just Titan, Lata, you know, on the smaller side, there are not too many small jewelry stocks that are active these days, but TBZ is finding takers today. So 5 to 6% up on TBZ. Madras Fertilizer, Fact. So some of these names, maybe we can pull up a Chambal and RCF and see if it's a sector move or if it's just these two stocks. But there is some kind of a play going on. So a little bit of green on the others as well. Some play going on. The fertilizer names as well. I noticed the JP twins on the lower side, by the way. So JP Associates, JP Infra. These are stocks that are not particularly holding out too well for the time being. So that's how it's opened out, Anuj, 30 higher, approaching this 10,500 mark now.
Yeah, I think the Bank Nifty gave you a bit of a dip and then immediately recovered. Same with the Nifty. So we have crossed the morning uptick, the morning high point. I think the stock of the moment really for me is Dish TV, because yesterday also it had a big rally, Surabhi, about 6%, and from the low point, it made a bit of an intraday low, and from that point it's rallied once again. And there are three or four triggers here, because this offer at 74 rupees, so that put an immediate floor, and that of course is going to be the acceptance ratio is going to be almost 100% on that, because promoters participating. So that's why there are a couple of brokerage reports Nimesh had sent about Axis Capital and all that. Perhaps a 10-year bear market here is going to end. Also with this Reliance Big TV almost shutting down, so there's quite clearly going to be an uptick in ARPU. So that I think is the reason. If you see the futures plate of Dish TV, there's quite a bit of buying on that one. But for the market, obviously, at lower level, there is some buying which has emerged. So it will be interesting to see. Now we are trading above yesterday's high, I think, 10,492 is where we are trading. Ashwini, your thoughts on market opening, and are you taking any trade?
See, I think the breakout is happening on the Bank Nifty, and particularly PSU banks are today participating. So that's where you need to get long. I think Nifty is also maintaining its early morning rally. So that way, bet on the Bank Nifty. If Bank Nifty and IT both remain broadly positive, then it will be tough to take the market lower. But the fresh breakout is on banks. I think today metal stocks are also opening up fairly strongly. So metal and banks can take the market higher. IT is stable, very little follow through but not declining. So financials will probably carry the day forward, given that crude, etc., may cool off during the day if Syria tensions also come off. So the sense is positive, and next 50 to 100 points is opening up on the Nifty, and on the Bank Nifty, next target of about 25,500 seems to be in place.
Ashwini, on metals, I'll ask the same question again. Now that there is some excitement, what's the best play? Nalco, Hindalco, Vedanta?
See, aluminium is the strongest metal. I get prices of actual metals. So Hindalco, Vedanta, these guys look much better than others. But the rally is lukewarm. It's not the way the real metals are moving. So for the day, the play is Bank Nifty. Metals maybe an odd trade, but nothing significant.
Okay. Well, actually,
market is now picking up quite a bit of steam now. In fact, if you take a look at the Nifty, it's approaching
the Nifty Bank especially.
Bank Nifty especially. I think third day running that intraday morning dip has been bought. Mitesh, your thoughts on market opening and any interesting stock?
Yeah, so I think, as I said, I think the upward drift is possibly will take us to closer to about 10,550, 10,600. And three stocks have come into early morning focus. Apollo Tyres has made a fresh swing high. Reliance is looking positive. I think it had some kind of a mild breakout day before yesterday, and yesterday was more of consolidation. I think today is showing follow through on the upside. And UPL is something which appears to have completed a multi-day pullback and now is possibly getting into an up move again.
Okay. Well, Prakash, anything on your radar now?
Certainly, I think market is up. Bank is given a good breakout here. I like two stocks basically. One is Escorts. That looks good. It's running up to maybe around 950, 960 zones. And I also like Kotak Mahindra Bank. I think it's heading up to 1160 plus zones.
Okay, Ashwini, is there a big call for the day?
See, I think the Axis ICICI combo are again moving up. So I think they could have a significant rally even going forward. So that way, those couple of stocks you could buy, and particularly Bank Nifty early morning breakout, 2-3 days of narrow range. I think there could be some follow through there.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot, gentlemen, for your early morning trades. And of course, we will keep touching base with you. But this has been a very strong start for the markets, and more particularly for the Nifty Bank, now moving 0.5% higher, so 130 higher. That's 25,330 almost. That index is definitely standing out. And in the mid-cap space, definitely anything green is standing out.
Oh, yes, and a lot of stocks
fertilizer.
now. Yes.
Fertilizers all the way. It's
exactly.
a big rally on fertilizers.
Tire stocks. Yeah. MRF is making highs of the morning. CG Power is making highs of the morning. A couple of other stocks which are making. IT has cooled off today, so obviously there's been a bit of a cool off, not entirely unexpectedly today. So that space is cooling off a bit. And the point I was making on Dish TV as well, that stock is at the high point. There was also this story about TDSAT, Lata, allowing broadcasters to disconnect Reliance Big TV. So that also is one reason why you've seen all these broadcasters enjoying a bit of a run here. But let's invite our market master for the day then. Madhu Kela is with us, market veteran. Madhu, good morning. Always good talking to you. So you reckon the correction is over?
Hi Anuj, good morning.
Is that your sense as well, Madhu?
Yeah, I think this was the most desperately needed correction in the markets I have seen over the last few years. People who wanted to participate just didn't get a chance. So we finally got one correction, which scared the hell out of a lot of people and market participants. I would say that one thing which is very clear in my mind, that volatility which was really missing in markets for the last 2 years, that is back for sure. So you will have a lot of volatility in this year and maybe coming into even next year. So that, and to my mind, that is the only real hope and opportunity to make money, because in the markets which just keeps going up, when the valuations become so unaffordable, there are not too many opportunities. So investors will have to set up their mind that this volatility is here to stay. And whenever you are on a good end of the volatility, there is a lot of so-called blood on the street. That is when you will have to be brave, be selective, do your homework properly, and buy selective companies rather than worrying at that time about macro and micro and broader market trends and all the stocks which happens in the market at that point of time. If you have done your homework properly, I think there is still a lot of money to be made on a stock specific basis.
And Madhu, since you've started your own venture, I'm sure the correction would have been more than welcome for you. You would have managed to get good stocks at good prices. Tell us what themes, if you can give us stocks, nothing like it, but what themes excite you the most?
So Anuj, coming back to themes, and obviously I would request the standard disclaimer that all these stocks I will have vested interest. So the themes which we like, one is from a medium-term perspective, clearly, public sector banks is something which has a lot of value in my view. Again, you can't buy the whole sector. You will have to choose maybe maximum 3 or 4 public sector banks. And I think over the next 2 quarters, whatever has to happen in terms of NPLs and the recognition and all should be out. And we are already seeing, even in the stock prices, that bottoming out process. And whenever there is a small good news, the prices recover faster than they fall. So public sector bank is clearly one spot. Then we like the road sector. I think the government has done a fantastic job in terms of awarding so many contracts, and the execution of that will be there over the next 2 to 3 years. So road companies' results will be very good. I mentioned in your channel a lot of times that we like the liquor companies. So we continue to like them, even though the price performance has been superlative and selectively in the last 1-2 years. But there continues to be the earning momentum even in those companies. Then Anuj, you have selective opportunities in pharma, selective opportunities in mid-cap IT. So what I'm saying you is, the hanky-dory days of just being the bull market and you buy anything and everything in 2017 or 16, that opportunity comes once in 10 years. Now we are back to doing bottom-up hard work, making sure that you are on top of the companies in which you are investing. There is earning visibility. There are companies which are investing have very good corporate governance standards, and market is already proving. So you saw, even when the Nifty fell from more than 1,000 points, there are so many companies which are actually making new highs on a 200-point recovery from there. So that is the market we are in, which is very exciting. So this is a precise point I would like, at the cost of repetition, that the volatility gives you an entry point into these good companies at good prices. So as investors, you should love it that your markets have become volatile and you get from time to time opportunity to enter these good companies.
Okay, take your point entirely, Madhu. Last year, every fund manager looked good. It looked like even I could become a fund manager. Now, of course, you have to respect the skill of fund managers to pick
Lata,
good
you are
stocks.
one.
No. My money is in equity mutual funds for sure, and I'm coming to whether people will stay in mutual funds. But before that, the other source of volatility this year could be political news. It's dotted with elections leading up to the big one, probably end of this year or early next year. Do you think that will keep putting a cap on the markets?
Yeah, Lata, in the last 3 years, I have seen no one has been able to call the politics right. I hear there is a lot of murmur about political instability, but to my mind, it's very early days. We are still full 1 year before the elections happen, and we have seen whether it was Brexit, whether it was the Trump election, or whether it was even last our own general election, the way the BJP came with thumping majority. I don't think anyone could call it, and that is why I am saying that if I worry, let us say I worry that there is going to be political instability, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to just put my money in fixed deposit if I'm an equity investor just because I'm worried? I don't think that's a good strategy. That's a precise point I'm making. But because of this volatility, if you get selective good themes, good sectors, good companies to buy, you just have to continue to buy them. And when the election comes in, we will deal with it.
Madhu, good morning. So speaking of elections, the market is obviously pretty excited about the whole rural side of things. What do you think is the best way of playing that? Right now, I mean, for instance, this morning I'm seeing fertilizer stocks higher, something like escorts higher, some of these pump stocks that have a good exposure to rural India, they're all rallying. How would you play rural?
So I mentioned, a couple of sectors already, and we have been very consistent. At least I have been very consistent that the only way to make money is on a bottom-up basis. So you will have there has been not lot in which has happened in the rural India in the last 3-4 years because of the suppressed MSP prices. This budget got the cheer, and there is obviously, because of the election year, there is going to be a lot of work which will happen on the rural side. So you have to choose your pick. By as a theme, it will work. Some of the themes which I mentioned, they will also benefit because of the rural revival. So, let's say, for instance, a public sector bank also gets benefit if rural India is doing well. So, then it is left to you from a bottom-up perspective. One more sector which can be looked at is the auto ancillary space, because autos have done so well in the last 6-12 months. So you will see, and because of GST and because of demonetization, there are a lot of destocking also which happened. So you will have a lot of companies in that space which will really come up with stellar results over the next 12-18 months. So there is still some money to be made there.
Okay. Madhu, I wanted to ask about this mutual fund behavior as well. A great tailwind for us was the faith of the domestic investor. But now bond yields have crept up. There is a little bit of attraction in fixed income, and the first taste of that equity markets will not always make you money. Are you sure the domestic liquidity will still side with equities?
Lata, if you have to look at this question in the context that, we got between 2009 and 2013-14, actually we got negative net flow in equity. So there was a lot of pent up and accumulated demand which was there for equities. The moment markets started doing well, people had to put money in equities. So what we have seen, if you look at only last 12-18 months, it looks humongous. But if you look at the last 5 years, then it is normalized inflow into equities. So what may happen that, that 20,000 or 18,000 crores which we got, I think that was also an aberration. So that level of inflows in these kind of markets, I wouldn't think that will continue. But I think a decent inflow, now you're close to 5,000-6,000 crore rupees, is a SIP book only. So I don't think SIP is being discontinued just because you had a 500-700 points Nifty volatility. So you can expect maybe around 8,000-10,000 crore rupees of normalized mutual fund inflows to continue.
Okay. Madhu, you started off this conversation when, Anuj asked you about the big themes you would play by referring to public sector banks. And very soon we are going to have a public sector giant joining us. The Deputy Managing Director of IDBI Bank will be with us in a bit. And we would like you to be in on that conversation. But before that, I wanted to ask you, why are you so bullish? I mean, what has changed? The BBB looks exactly what the previous BBB looked. The capital was good when it came, but now if you looked at the extra flow of NPAs, it doesn't look like much will be left to fuel growth. What makes you so gung-ho?
Yeah. So there are 3-4 things, Lata, and I would candidly want to express myself.
Yes.
What I'm saying is the first point is the valuation. When do we really become bullish? Because when the valuation is in our favor. So if you look at the normalized book value of some of these banks, some of them are trading at maybe 0.4, 0.5 times adjusted book value, even after adjusting for all which is being seen.
Okay.
Now, going by my experience, I am sure a lot is already being seen than what is being hidden. Second, now you have resolution in place. Maybe in this quarter you will see a couple of large resolutions happening through IBC code. and some of the resolutions are going to be much higher than what the market was anticipating. So whether it was, let's say, the resolution which already happened, Bhushan Steel, Bhushan Power, was significantly higher than what the world was expecting, what the markets were expecting. So once you have, so there is a 4 lakh crore rupees which is there in NCLT 1 and 2. If you have resolution of these accounts over the next 6-9 months, which means the banks will not have to incrementally provide for this, and in some cases there will be write back. And let us not forget, let's just take an example. You know, for instance, Punjab National Bank has a pre-operating profit of 13,000 crores and the market cap is 25,000 crores. How do you explain this? So once these provisions go off, you will see a significant improvement in profit after tax and ROEs. So, but you have to have a 2-3 year view. Let me just tell that, you know, these things cannot be timed for 1 quarter. I'll be perfectly in time. If you have a 2-3 year view, I'm sure, you know, some of these companies will give very good returns.
Okay, by the way, those are some very strong statements coming in from Titan again. Jewelry business will see 2.5 times growth, going up to about FY23. That stock's had a great week. It's obviously had a great couple of years. Why just a week? Madhu, so just taking this valuation argument forward and turning it around, there is the other side of the market where stocks are trading at 40, 45, 50 times, and these are consumer stocks. Would you be comfortable with these level of valuations? Because here the promises of growth, yes. Whether it's a jewelry, jewelry company like Titan, whether it's a pizza company, whether it's even in some of the FMCG names.
So, again, this will be stock specific, but generally, I am not an investor who can digest, 40, 50, 60 P multiples. So I refrain from investing at these valuations. But whatever is there in my portfolio, just because it has become expensive, I wouldn't sell it. As long as the company's, the basic structure and the growth structure is there, and as long as the corporate governance is very good, we have seen, these P multiples. Sometimes these good companies correct time-wise, then for you to say that I'll be able to sell and then I'll be able to re-enter, that becomes a very tough thing to do. So you may have correction time-wise rather than price-wise in these good companies. But bottom line, am I a buyer at this 50-60 P multiple? I am not.